Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel just like you're gonna pull your hair out with so many things that you need to do? Do you feel like you have so many things on your to-do list that it's no way you're gonna get them all done? Or do you just feel like too many people is asking you to do too many things? You get phone calls all the time with can you do this or can you do that? You have all of these different responsibilities. Sometimes to solve this problem, we tend to want to learn how to balance our time. We tend to want to learn how to use our planners better or how to use our Google Calendars better. But I've learned that sometimes we just need how to say no. We need to simply learn how to say no. So in today's video, I want to talk about 6 tips to learning how to say no. And by the way, could you just go ahead and look down below and hit subscribe for me? You know, we're trying to build our channel. We're trying to make sure that we give you the videos that you like. So if you like this video and you find it helpful, please go ahead and hit subscribe and let us know that this is the kind of content that you guys want. So thank you for that. But in today's video, we're going to talk about 6 tips to learning how to say no. So tip number 1 is this. Keep your response simple. Keep your response simple. If you want to say no, just be firm and direct. You don't have to go through all of these particular things. You don't have to give long stories. You don't have to talk about, something that happened to your grandmother, or if you had to go take your dog to the vet, and all of these different things. You can just simply, be firm and be direct. To be honest with you, people don't want to hear all that anyway. So go ahead and just save your voice, okay? Save all of that noise and go ahead and just stay firm and direct. Hey, tip number 2 is this. Buy yourself some time. Buy yourself some time. What I mean by this is that you just need to be able to interrupt your yes cycle with phrases like, let me get back with you. People may want an answer right then and there, but you don't have to give them an answer right then and there. Remember, they're not the boss of you. So you can buy some time by interrupting the yes cycle. We tend to want to give yeses before we able to stop and think about, can we even do this? Doesn't even fit into our schedule. What else do we have going on? So be comfortable with interrupting the yes cycle. Okay, tip number 3 is this. Consider a compromise. Consider a compromise. Sometimes you might be asked to do some things that, once again, are either not in your schedule, you may not have the resources to do it, and so just consider a compromise. People may want you to move them all the way to California, but if you can't do that, consider a compromise, right? Or something like that. They may want to borrow something. They may want to do something that you don't really have, and you can't meet their request. So consider a compromise, okay? I don't think that's making you seem like a bad person or anything like that. You can always compromise, okay? You can meet them halfway with things. That's okay. Tip number 4 is this. Separate refusal from rejection. Separate refusal from rejection. Sometimes we can feel as though turning down the request is turning down the person. But in fact, that's not. It's 2 totally different things. We're not rejecting the person. We're just rejecting the request. So remember, we have to separate the request from the person. So tip number 4, once again, is separating refusal from rejection. Let the person know we love them, we consider this, but we can't do it. We're not rejecting the person, we're just rejecting the request. Tip number 5 is this. Don't feel guilty for saying no to your children. Don't feel guilty for telling your kids no. Growing up, I remember my parents telling me no a lot. A lot of my aunts was telling me no. My uncles have no problem telling me no. My moms had no problem telling me no. So guess what? I had to learn that I have to tell my kids no. Telling them yes to everything, you develop these kids who feel so entitled and so spoiled. And nobody wants kids who are entitled and spoiled. So it's okay if you can tell your kids no. Because believe it or not, when they go to school, I bet you their principals and their teachers are telling them no. When they get a job, their supervisors are going to tell them no. So only thing you're doing is just trying to prepare them for the real world. So it's okay to tell them no. Tip number 6 and the final tip is this. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. You need to be clear and honest with yourself about what you truly want. Sometimes we may have requests come our way, or people may ask us to do things that are really not in line with our belief systems, not in line with our values, not in line, if you're Christian, with the Word of God. And it's okay to be true to yourself. It's okay to know that how this request, if you do this request, how it's going to reflect upon you. So you want to be true to who you are as a person and be true to yourself. So let me summarize for a second. So the 6 tips to learning how to say no is this. Tip number 1, keep your response simple. Tip number 2, buy yourself some time. Tip number 3, consider a compromise. Tip number 4, separate refusal from rejection. And tip number 5, don't feel guilty with saying no to your children. And tip number 6 is be true to yourself. Hey, thank you. Make sure you hit subscribe. Until next time, remember, love your family.